Hello, fellow YouTubers. Bear Prepper here. Cat's Cradle told me that I didn't have to use the parchment paper for things like bacon ends and pieces. So, I went out to our local grocery store and I got 3 pounds of bacon, 369 pounds, and I paid 4 cents an ounce for it, which is really cheap. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these in my canning jars and pressure can them. As you can see, there is a lot of meat on these. So, if you need to go a less expensive way, since they kind of come apart anyways, you might as well start with them coming apart. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them in the jar. I'm going to try to put them in the jar. And I think big hunks, I will cut them down. Because it looks like we got a lot of big hunks in this one. It's great for all those beans we have in storage. And since we're doing a raw pack, you want to press them down. Try to fill in all the gaps, because it will shrink. See, that's not bad. Some of it is. Some of it's pure fat. But, hey, that's grease. So let me go ahead and get these done, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, now it's time to clean up the jars. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a napkin and I'm going to clean off the rims, making sure there's no meat on the rims. While I'm doing this, I kind of want to clarify some things, because I've had a lot of questions lately. If you are packing raw meat, then you don't want to add water or broth to your jars. And the reasoning behind that is as the meat cooks, it's going to release juices, and it is going to increase the pressure inside. And you have the likelihood of your lids blowing up and not sealing properly. If you are going to cook your meat, then you can add broth, because the meat has already shrunken and it doesn't need to expand and then shrink again, like the raw meat does. If you are going to brown your meat, like say you've got stew meat, and you want to brown it first because it looks so much better in the jars, or you're making a beef stew in a jar, what you want to do is you want to brown the meat, then you can add broth, because you've already taken the shrinkage and the expansion out of it by browning the meat. So I hope that's clear. Like I said, I've been getting a lot of questions on it, and so I thought it'd be easier just to talk about it on the video. So raw meat, no juice or broth, water or broth. Cooked meat, broth or water, and browned meat is considered cooked meat. Okay? So all we do is we clean off our rims, and then we put our lids and bands on. And I'm using Big Bertha pressure cooker here today, because I want to get it all done in one batch, and my smaller pressure canner won't accomplish that, because I have 11 pints here. In each one of these pints, there's just under a pound of bits and pieces. And what I found while I was putting it in the jar, it is bacon. It was either too big or too small, or I should say it was too thick, or it was too thin, or it was a piece that ripped off. But there are a lot of whole pieces of bacon in here. They're just either really thick or really thin. So if you haven't checked out Cat's Cradle's channel, Please check it out. Got some great videos there. Very responsive with email and questions. There are some YouTubers that don't respond real well to questions, and I'm sure it's because they have so many subscribers. Give this a shot. It's a cheaper way to go than buying the thicker bacon, because when you're canning with the parchment paper, the thicker bacon turns out much better. It actually stays in one piece, whereas the thinner bacon breaks up into little pieces, which is the same as doing this. So I figured, you know, why waste my money if I'm going to buy the cheap bacon? It's going to break into little pieces anyways. So if I buy the bits and pieces, which are really cheap, then I'll have the same product. And like I said, Cat's Cradle said that I didn't need to do the parchment. It will come apart. It'll be a little sticky, but when you cook it, it'll break right apart. So we'll give this a shot. 75 minutes for pints, 90 minutes for quarts. Pressure canner, mine calls for 2 inches of water. Yours may call for something different. And it's like I said, 75 minutes and 90 minutes. I always put a tablespoon or 2 of vinegar in it. The only reason I do that is because in Texas, we have really hard water. And when these jars come out of the pressure canner, they're white if you don't use the vinegar. And so you gotta sit there and you gotta rub the white off so that you can see your pretty stuff inside. If you put vinegar, you don't have to worry about that. If you have a water softener, or you're not in an area where there's hard water, you may not need the vinegar. So use your best judgment, and always remember, follow your pressure canner's instructions. Most of them are the same to a certain extent. My little pressure can's at 11 pounds, my big one at 10 pounds. So you kind of gotta, you know, follow those directions because that's what it's tested for. So we'll see you in 75 minutes. Okay, canner went for its 75 minutes, turned it off. Ooh, turned it off a long time ago, like a couple hours. And let's check out our bacon. So now we have 2 ways to do bacon. We can throw it in a jar and expect some difficulties when we go to take it out, or put it nice on parchment paper. This is perfect for the bits and pieces. No reason to go through all that trouble. Get the divider out. Remember, everything in here is really hot, including the pot, so do not grab anything with your hands. And I'll show you. Sorry. My daughter just got home and the dogs were just letting me know. So we have 11 pints of bacon, which my daughter doesn't like the smell of after canning. And it's 9 pounds. And I think I paid $15 and about 40 cents for 9 pounds. So, if you haven't seen before, let me take you off. Girl. When I say it's very, very hot, this has been sitting in that pot for probably an hour and a half, and it is still all boiling. Oh, there's one back here going really good. So, just let them set. Don't touch them, don't mess with them. Let them cool overnight. Let them sit. I always let mine sit for 48 hours when it comes to meat. just because I have seen seals release on meat, something to do with the greases. So I would rather find out now instead of in the back of my cupboard. So I'll check the seals after about 24 hours, and then I'll check the seals one last time after 48 hours. And then call them done. Have a wonderful evening. Yes, we started when it was daylight, and now it's pitch black. It's about 10:30 at night. But it's done. Blessings. Okay, this is the bacon. All done. I think you get a lot more grease in this bacon. It's bits and pieces. Let's fry some up, see how it looks. See if it's all stuck together or what. Feels a little clumped together, but not stuck. I'm just throw it all in the pan. Let me take you off this so you can see. Alright. Yeah, it's not stuck together. Looks like it did when I put it in the pan. And you know what? Unless you want strips of bacon, I think this is a much cheaper way to go. So I'll come back to you when it's all fried up and we'll take a look. Okay, here's the final product. I got about a quarter cup of, ouch, bacon grease. And it's more like crispy pieces of bacon. But it smells wonderful and it tastes really good. So if you want a cheaper way to go and still be able to have some bacon, I would recommend bits and pieces. Blessings.